provoke them in an eel, yeah? One Scottish giant skate, we'll send it home and go and have a haddock for supper. You ready to go, boys?
Hiding between the toes at the foot end of the British Isles are the strangest fish we can encounter in this country. Or at least, the strangest biggie. They're the only ones that can swim backwards, the longest of our species. To some the ugliest, to others the most beautiful. To everyone who fishes for them, they're certainly the strongest. They're mean, they're moody, they're magnificent. We are of course talking about the conger eel. But we have to hunt up some smaller species first, the sometimes elusive mackerel. Strangely enough, this week mackerel have been caught a mile from my house on the River Severn, 16 miles up from the bridge. They haven't been up that stretch of water for 20 years. Not in shoals, anyway. Strange things are happening to the sea, as well as the weather during the 1990s. I hope some of the lessons we've learnt help rebalance the books for the anglers of the next millennium. In the meantime, I also hope that not all mackerel are holidaying near Gloucester. We need some to tempt wily great conger. It is without doubt the best possible bait. Freshly caught, they are rich in oil and firm in flesh.
Alright, nothing on. So at the moment we're still searching for them. But because there's a reasonable run of tide, I'm finding the mackerel feathers moving away from the boat. So I'm going to up the weight a little to 8 ounces. Which is probably what Roger's running. You on 8 ounces, Roger?
Yes, I'm on 8 at the moment.
Then we'll get a cleaner, faster drop and back down again. Searching all the time, keeping my thumb gently on the spool to just control the drop. As you can possibly see from the end of the line, I'm using a nice Penn blue Dyna braid here for better visibility today. We've got a cleaner, straighter drop and we're into mackerel at about 40 foot, Roger. Drop down cleaner then, keeping contact with all the fish, not many on. So at this point it isn't the time to be a little bit lackadaisical and let it relax to try and get more. We'll settle for whatever fish I can bring up. And there's one small joey to start the day. Unhook the single fish myself by keeping the weight over the side of the boat so there's no damage or weight there. Well, I can go home now really. All right. One in the box. Oh, Roger, just to let you know, I caught that on black feather.
I've never seen a mackerel caught on a black feather. Never.
And straight down again. So a change of weight has got me straighter, less hassle by the tide, and down quicker to the fish. You're there too. So again, dropping under control, thumb on. And one of the nice advantages of the Penn 320 GTI really is the level wind. I can adequately level wind with no problem at all. But with mackerelling, I don't have to think about it because it's just taking the line onto the spool perfectly neatly. Up we come again. Sometimes with the run of the tide when it's strong, it's a little difficult to tell if you've got a fish on. Especially when they're joeys. Got one bit further than 40 feet, clunk, and nothing there.
Mackerel has the best scent, and in the dark 200 feet down, conger are feeding by sense of smell. They're not very keen on frozen bait. This has been proven by divers who have hand-fed conger on wrecks over the years. If mackerel are sparse, go to a fishmonger before using frozen. Make sure that the monger doesn't know you want them for conger, otherwise you could be fobbed off with yesterday's softies. They may be cheaper, but they will not be as effective. If frozen is the only option, then make sure you thaw them out completely before presenting them. Always best though to fish for fresh bait, even at the cost of some congering time if need be.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how they come in.
You can be sporting and fish for them on light tackle, but for me, mackerelling for conger needs to be quick, effective and controlled. I catch only what I need, some for the pan at tea time and a few for the freezer for other species.
Shallow now, yeah?
Tackle-wise, a 12 or 20 pound class rod matched with a small multiplier loaded with 20 pound line is a good combination. Don't make the mistake of trying to fish for them with a fixed spool reel. You just can't drop down fast enough. On the end, you need 6 hooks of any combination you like. Feathers of various colours, flapjack lures, little eels, hawkeye lures, miniature muppets, etc. Whatever works. I use 3 feathers, sometimes black ones just to wind Roger up. Above 3 hawkeye, all from mustad. Give them a whirl, see what you think.
Hawkeye. Mustads,
4 to 6 ounces of lead, sometimes 8, on the end, drops the rig down quickly if the fish are shoaling deep. A big splash gets as much air into the feathers as possible, increasing attractiveness, and when the mackerel start to feed, if you're in the right spot, you can't go wrong.
It's a cracking pair of gloves you got there, Bill.
Booties, isn't they?
High visibility gloves.
High vis.
They're a fiery little fish, they're a hell of a fighter. I tell you, you put half a dozen of those on a string and give the rods to your average 10-year-old and he's going to be having the scrap of his life.
Fishing odds have now increased to 20 minutes.
If the fish are coming up fast, keep your catch over the side until the crew are ready to unhook them. When you bring them in, secure your weight, leaving tension on the line. The crew can then release the mackerel quickly, and very importantly, it reduces the risk of people getting hooked up.
About 30 feet, I would think, Liam.
Okay. At the end of the day, this is an easy accident. But being good professional anglers, Roger's carrying the first aid kit to deal with hook damage and bait knife wounds. Being a bit of a Jessie, I'm probably going to pass out. Is that your best hanky?
Carry on.
Thank you very much. Now, it might seem a bit namby, but I'm actually going to put a plaster on that one because it's going to get right in the way of my cranking otherwise. Thanks, Rog. Always remember, shake all the blood into the sea to improve the ground bait.
Sometimes you'll pull up whiting or even herring. Herring is another oily fish and a good secondary bait. As is calamari squid, a particularly smelly bait in fish terms, popular with ling. A couple of boxes on board can offer variety in the shape of cocktail baits. Also, net in any cuttlefish you see floating around when you're steaming to the location. But at the end of the day, successful conger fishing can depend on the quality and quantity of the mackerel catch. With the bait secured, it's time to steam to the chosen wreck. Dry out the feathers, stow the mackerel in gear, and tackle up for conger. Prepare some bait, Loosen the butt pad straps to cater for the extra £5 you've put on since last time you wore it, and keep a good watch for passing shipping and wildlife. The drop of engine revs means the skipper has found his mark, and the shape of an old hulk has appeared on the sounder. Now the most difficult task in wreck fishing begins, and an experienced conger team wisely leave the skipper and crew to themselves while they anchor the boat. The equation is half mathematical and half instinctive. Tide one way, wind the other, and at what angle is the wreck lying and which part fished the best in the past. Bit like reversing round a corner with your eyes shut, only no curbs to bounce off and guide you. And because the tide and wind is constantly pushing the boat along until the anchor sets, the skipper may have to steam up to half a mile away, drop anchor and drift back to bring both anchor and boat onto target. This is one of the greatest skills a skipper has to master, and if he's having a tough time, be tolerant. The wait will always be worth it. A well-anchored, well-located fishing platform is way better than fishing on the drift. With the boat anchored and the first baits already prepared en route, the first drops of the day are quickly making their way to the dark layers 200 feet below.
Well, it's my favourite moment in any congering trip. The first drop of the day. Everything's kitted, everything's sorted. This is my great moment, but on the mackerelling I had 3 and Roger had 15, so the odds are a bit stacked against me. We'll have a go and see what happens with the bigger fish. It's ever so important to get yourself sorted out before you start to conger fish. You just don't know how soon after a bait hits the bottom you could actually be in contact, and you also don't know what size of fish you can actually be in contact with either. So before you get going, even though it's tempting to slosh it all down there and get on with it, talk to the skipper, work out what he thinks about the tide and how much weight you should have on there. And for this first drop, I'm going to drop down with 1.5 pound of lead, which is a bit butch for me, but we'll manage. I've got a head on instead of a flapper with a bit of nice juicy bits hanging off. My butt pad's ready, my towel's in position. My plaster's on my cut thumb, but I've got a spare glove in case it gives me any jip as well. And even my Veals harness is within reach in case, we don't know, dear, hopefully there's 138 pounds waiting for me. So we're off and away, down for the first drop of the day, lowering the whole lot under control, so nothing twists and tangles. Take time, let it go. Big weight does the job. It's very important when it actually gets down there to make sure that you are holding bottom. Remember that 90% of the fish caught in British waters are bottom feeders, and our primary target today, the conger, is not slapping about 20 feet or so above the wreckage. He's cruising around all those little holes and tucks and bits of rusty gap, and we're down. And we met with quite a solid bump. I'll lift it, have another feel. Not muddy, not weedy, seem to be holding. Line's going to drift that way a bit, so I'm going to end up turning slightly round. We'll see how much line actually needs to be taken to hold bottom. And with a bit of luck, none. So we're off and away. The reel's now into gear and the clutch is set, so that if a big fish took it and ran, there is room to go. But equally so, if I want to load the rod and lift the fish, I am effective. I'm putting pressure onto its head, so I don't have the clutch too slack. Finding where that clutch should be is a matter of experience. Are you in there? Yeah. Eh? And Bill's got a pollock. What sort of bang, Bill? What did it feel like? Small. Yeah. Don't notice it much at that range. Pretty fish. Pretty fish. Neatly lit, hooked right through the top. One fish on black. What is it? It's an Eddystone lure, that, isn't it? See, amazing, isn't it? Black lures down there. You know. Look at the lovely colourings on this. This is what identifies a pollock. Big lower lip extended beyond the top, and a lateral line that breaks down. Isn't that gorgeous? Well done, Blue.
Big conger requires strong but sensitive gear. Rods need to be 30 to 50 pound class, fitted with an appropriately sized multiplier reel. Any roller logically reduces friction, and there is a growing trend for all roller rods and indeed some ringless rods. My personal feelings and experiences say there isn't a fish in British waters you can't land without these extras. An ordinary rod and reel of the right class is fine. The main line is 50 pound breaking strain sea tamer made by Mason in the good old US survey. It's superbly consistent throughout the spool and has a slightly oily feel to it, which must reduce line friction through the rings. It also knots very well, an important factor on big lines. The end tackle is a simple sliding ledger. On the main line, a sliding weight carrier enabling quick changes of weight as the tide run increases or decreases. On the end of the main line, a strong link swivel, again enabling quick trace changes. The point being that if your rig is high and dry, you're not in a position to catch conger. The quicker you get tackle back down, the greater the odds in your favour. The trace is 18 inches of 120 to 150 pound monofilament, terminating in a 9/0 bronze hook. Mustad are the kings. Some anglers use wire traces. I'm not so keen, because if they kink when snagged on wrecking, they weaken. I prefer the forgiveness of the elasticity of monofilament. You can't tie 150 pound line very easily, so crimps are essential. Apart from varying the length of the trace for different conditions and states of tide, this is the basic system upon which most conger are caught. Take at least 20 spare traces and as many weights. A variety of sizes from 1.5 pounds to just 8 ounces. It's no fun to run out, and learning to keep your hook bait in contact with the bottom and yet not snag the wreckage can be an expensive lesson during the learning curve. Additional tackle required for conger would be a good filleting knife for bait, a butt pad, and for a big scrapper, a shoulder harness can give your arms and back some respite. These sensibly priced and very reliable models, specially produced by Veal's mail order, are ideal. I've taken fish in excess of 300 pounds on this model. They'll never let you down.
You filthy animal.
Hey!
I think we could have done quite well if we could hold this properly.
Yeah. Well, each time you've got it back on, we've been bang on the mark. I've been into bite straight away. I'll tell you, give me an early bang away. I'm not ready to declare conger, but I think so.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Weighing nicely.
Unfortunately, that's when a lot of people lose congers, when they mess around and try and get it into their butt pad. It should be the first thing they do.
Yeah, my fault there as well. My fault there. was having the bloody end cap on. Here we go. Does it feel one wet enough already? Fish coming up. I didn't want a photo of the presentation then, then I hooked right in the top lid. That'll do. Right, all yours, my man. What do you reckon?
About £38.
38 pounder. Lovely. And away, Jude.
I've been chasing this particular species around the wrecks and reefs off Cornwall and Devon for over 25 years now. Some people say I've even started to look like a conger, especially in the girth. Doesn't seem to matter where in the world I fish though. Shark, marlin, giant skate, weird beasties and jungles and deserts. I always seem to wend my weary way back to the wheel world and head to Plymouth for some saltwater bunny chasing. It's the start of a new season. I'm back out with old rival Roger Herity. Emphasis on the word old. I'm a little wider and he's a little wiser. Even my hair's put on weight. Roger's certainly hasn't. We're joined by my freshwater and television angling partner Dave Watson for what can only be considered a somewhat early opportunity to go congering. It's definitely early for him. He's never been before. It's March, and there was such a neat hole in the weather, we've cleaned the mothballs out of the conger tackle boxes, and here we are at the start of a day which kicks off as usual with the hunt for the bait. But are the mackerel around yet?
Clear. Nothing on the Hawkeye lure, what a shame. They're better to drop it slowly, aren't they?
Yeah.
I tell you, these black feathers are really successful, you know.
That's another string full.
Black feathers! Never listen to Roger Herity in his can't catch mackerel on black feather. I'm slaying him.
Kamikaze mackerel these are.
Owl right up the arm.
There must be millions of them down there.
Yes.
As if by divine intervention, as soon as we'd caught enough, the mackerel disappeared. As did everything else for the next 3 hours. And I mean everything. We moved to the chosen wreck, confident with a box full of bait, and proceeded to spend the next 2 hours of our lives completely blanking. Not even a pout. By then, the banter had died away. Silence reigned as each of us settled into real fisherman mode. Hardly a word was spoken as we worked intensely without a bite for yet another hour. And suddenly, I got a gentle take. After a brief pull, the eel dropped the flapper. Bill tut-tutted me. I lowered the bait oh so gently to the bottom again, trying to find the same spot. And nothing happened for another 3 minutes.
A load of bollocks.
Patience mixed with disappointment and a touch of panic. As a TV angler, you often feel the camera's a jinx. Then this happened.
That's better. Bill? Can you come to my left?
Whatever's wrong on your left hand
That is a nice fish.
Start for the day. Get the head. That's the one.
Get on there.
All right.
That's a 45 pounder.
45. Oh, nicely hooked, Bill. Yeah?
good.
We ain't going to lose that fish in a hurry. There we go.
That's what you want to
Now, my friend, you can swing out a hand, or do you want me to run her off from it? Because she's still a bit green.
do. You do whatever you want to do here.
Right, let's gonna let the fish.
We're not going to tell it on.
No. I think I'll tire her out a little. Go on, go down. Whoosh.
Very good.
Pretty. There we go. You gonna lift that by hand, Alex?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
She got a fat head. On the spin.
Do you want it in the book, do you?
Yes, let's have a look. Have a look. Tell me when you got the load. All right.
Oh, here, come in.
Come on, Alex. More porridge. Whoosh.
No,
That's a good 40, isn't it?
No, that's a 50 pounder.
We gone 50?
Yeah.
I reckon so. Slack line.
That's why I shot them on bullet.
I bet you did. It's just, oops.
It's a nice fish.
Yeah. This time
We
of
made
year,
50
that's
then, but I
gorgeous.
reckon she is. She's pretty
This time of
thick.
year, that's good.
I reckon that'll go 50 pounds. What do you think,
Pretty
Roger?
thick. Hello,
That is good.
baby. This is the only time you'll see me standing between the legs of Bill Warner out of Plymouth. But it's one way of us measuring a fish that is in excess of 50 pounds. We've used the gaff through the lip, a bronze hook, which will rust away. We may even try and get it out first, and then she's back over the side. Wonderful beastie. In the words of that famous Roman angler, I came, I saw, I conquered. Big Bill, big fish. Thank you very much. Back over the side, I haven't got the strength. Go with her. Swim away. Main fish in British waters without a swim bladder, 230 feet, back down to the wreck. Bit porked off, but a little wiser. And I'm knackered.
But tucked away in the quieter corners and deep channels around the Isles off western Scotland are the dinosaur-like legends of the north, nicknamed the barn doors. The proper Latin name, Hugus hugus, Lotus chippus. We are of course talking about the giant skate. Skate like large baits. They're not predatory in the sense that they lie over their catch, trapping it under their wings, rather than pursuit or attack. The ideal baits are fresh herring or mackerel. The sessions are long, so plenty of ice is important.
Mackerel. Plenty of ice to keep it all chilled. Quality of these fish. And a great big cooler full of first rate squid.
We were visited en route by Willie and Davy, who delivered herring and exchanged it for some of our mackerel. Isn't it interesting how all these big burly Scottish anglers are called Stevie, Davy, Willie, Ronnie, etc.? Thank the powers that be, I say, for a good old stable Brian. We suggested to Willie that they anchor up about 200 yards away from us, and we attach a rope, so that if, or probably, when they caught, we could draw them in toward the camera. In the meantime, that gap would be enough, hopefully, for the lines not to tangle. It also meant that both boats stood a chance of catching together, as usually skate travel at least in pairs. After an hour's steaming, we anchored in over 400 foot of water, offered our baits to the depths, and settled back into the DOS period, an ideal time to look at the gear. I fish Daiwa, of course, because I'm an angler of great sense and fantastic taste. But more importantly, when I get big fish on the line, I want to boat them. For skate, I use two types of rod, 50-pound class sea line, and my favourite, the TDB 3050R, all roller. That rod gives me a tad more sensitivity at the tip, but with expectations of fish in the early hundreds, the straight through 50 gives a little more beef, especially considering the depth. The reels match the rods, SL 450Hs, great line capacity, reliable clutch and star drag. Main line is Mason Sea Tamer, 50-pound class, beautifully oiled and consistent throughout the whole spool. If you struggle to get this product, talk to Veal's Mail Order of Bristol. I've recently used the 30-pound line on Nile perch in Egypt and the 17-pound line in snaggy waters in France looking for carp. And I think it's the bee's knees. Even better than Maxima's top grade. When tackling up, I always check the last 10 feet for kinks and nicks and cut it off if I find any. The trace is 150-pound mono, 4 foot in length. Mustad swivels and 12-0 hooks crimped into place complete the gear. The weight is at least 1.5 pounds of lead run on a sliding ledger. During the peak flow of the tide, run weights are upped to 2 pound plus, so a clippable weight carrier is definitely an advantage. There is, of course, a vast array of tackle options on the market, so don't let my obsession with Daiwa sway you specifically. However, let's watch Brian suffer as a result of not using the right stuff.
Sitting as a lump. Hang on, I'm nearly in. Has that clamp gone off again? No, I had it clamped to the back. I mean, the clip thing has gone on there.
Modified this. It's modified to your 6-hole. Shit. I want to get back down to the other bloody thing starts twisting. So that's as tight in as... Aye, I think it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
It doesn't look right, so that's... Does that not come separately from the...
No, it will not. I don't think it'll tighten up any further. That one. I think that's as far up as it'll tighten.
Give it a bit of stick now, so if I keep my thumb here for a
You
minute.
got the Jubilee clip?
That's
yes.
what it is.
See the Jubilee clip over
the back bit.
on that back bit to hold it down.
That's done it, Brian. That's got you sorted.
Good man.
That serves you right for using Shimano.
Yeah. The reel's okay, is it stupid?
Is it?
Rod.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. You ready to work?
No, it's an Abu rod. I'll float you off the
Go on, 2 inches and a wobble. Is that harness set alright for you?
Seriously, what's the drag?
Your physique obviously matches my manly shoulders. Yeah.
Okay, so she's coming out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we've got her moving now, right?
Alright, I think maybe 10 or something like that.
Just gonna do a thing over that the oars was doing.
Yeah. I was ready to sling the Shimano over the side, you know. We could run a bit of line off, couldn't we, almost, and rethread to another rod.
Well, that's what we're
You
going
could
to
take,
do.
yeah, because they really don't just go boom, I'm away. They do sit there, so you get that little bit of forgiving time to sort yourself out, don't you? Oh, don't envy him that though. Phew. You're back at the helm.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yes. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's a brilliant way to see compression of rod work
right.
properly.
Yep.
Let the rod do the job. Look at the pressure coming in there. As soon as you can relax on it.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. You got a bit of weight there, haven't you, Mr. Byrne?
Fish that's in
Hey?
there. That's up there, fish here.
£50 class rod, this?
It's, yeah.
Yeah, straight through 50, yeah? You're sliding up gracefully, is she?
That's it.
Yeah.
Going through the water there.
A little too gracefully. Maybe not the 150 mark, yeah?
thought
Around
so.
about the 100 here.
We'll set it for that one start. Let's
Oh,
start
do
there.
us a hell of a pile of chips with it. Ronnie was telling me earlier about how often they've caught the same tagged fish a few times over. So it's interesting to see if this has got a spike in it. Which also seems to tell us that they're not that fussed, are they?
Well,
They
looking-
get tagged, boom, drop back down again. They're getting picked up again within half an hour.
That's right.
And back on the feed. So. And that's activity on Willie's boat, and activity on here within a quarter of an hour, and we're what, about 2 hours off slack water?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No.
All right. Now you're going to bring this fish up now instead of just sort of
Yeah.
mincing up. What we're down to, the last 50
Sorry.
feet?
Yeah.
We're seeing it there. Oh, it's down there. Oh, lovely. Oh, it is. Yeah. Oh, and you got this? Beautiful. It's got a big eye going, what am I doing up here? Nicely gaffed, straight through the wing. Least amount of damage. Gonna clunk me with this.
No, wait, just
All the
let
space behind you.
drop you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and put that. What do you please?
Got it.
Cheers.
Okay. Yeah. Gaff is caught on the line. All right. Right, I'll clear the deck a bit then. You can whatever the fish does. Brilliant.
Just drop it in gently. Can we get it? It's a Conger.
Here we are, superbly unprepared for actually catching one. Yes. Well,
Well done.
I'm not impressed.
That was not me bending over.
Look at that. I do apologise for that, Brian. That mouth could do some damage, couldn't it, eh?
You get it?
Ah, that really helps. I had no idea they would open so wide. So you're not wrong on these big bait bits, are you? It's a tongue job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the seed mackerel and squid.
That's
Come on, Burley. Fall back in again. So all done. Nice and clean.
Beautiful. Excellently cut out. Look at this. I want to touch those teeth. You got this fish?
Watch-
I'm
you
not
watch
going
those
in,
teeth.
but I want to feel.
They're not actually sharp.
No. It's the
Just
sheer
pressure.
pressure, isn't it? Sheer pressure.
Just smash it.
Brilliant. Yeah, no messing. I had
guess
no
you
idea
get
it would
those-
expand
do
so
you want,
much
Ronnie?
that way.
No, I'm just going to put it in the deck and
It's tagged already. Is it one of your tags, Ronnie, or not? Do you know?
just check.
Fish is made 100, isn't it?
No.
No?
Alright, so wait.
It's one of yours.
Right.
What sort of weight? Where are you at with that?
About 80 pounds.
Is it? All right, yeah.
I think we'll just weigh it anyway. Right. Just.
You cleared the tongue. Talk to me. I'm feeling like flaming Samson here. I'm trying to keep my little
Okay.
stuffy self still. How you doing?
47 kilo.
Which is?
Just about 100 pounds.
It's the 100, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, 47 kilos. Easy, 105. 45, 46, 47, 105, 105.
105 pounds. All right.
Okay.
Brilliant. I'll remove that.
You get the tag number?
I went to just to get a curiosity to see what was last.
One large male farting skate.
1272.
Look at these extra dollops here, eh?
1272.
Yeah,
1272, yeah.
you can do a bit of damage with them.
Yeah.
I wonder, from his defence point of view, what those are for. Stop him getting chomped, maybe. You send it home?
Yeah, if you want any more fruit. Yeah.
Hey, look at that. It's got a face. It's even got little legs. All right. 105.
Mind the tail. Just you let go, Brian. Stand back.
You like that tail just there, Brian? There's a comfortable position. You ready, Tina? Big splash. Bye-bye. A successful capture, tag check and release, despite some problems with the reel housing. Brian's experienced enough not to let such a difficulty get in his way. In the meantime, Davy too had caught a fish and landed it. While they were tagging the skate, Willie got a take, so they now had a little problem. Willie was playing a heavy fish, and Davy's was too big for him to lift it back over the side by himself. Captain Blythe's great-great-grandson launches himself onto the high seas in order to lend a helping hand. 2 pizza with mushroom topping! It's worth pointing out that Willie and Davy would not have boated the fish if they had been out there by themselves and I wasn't requesting a look at every possible skate. Team effort. Meantime, Brian got into another fish. Perhaps he gave me all the old and stale bait. They are matchmen, of course, and natives, who drink things called urn brew. Now what I'm actually doing here is I've encouraged this smaller stamper fish, to come and aggravate Brian's rods. Tire him out a little bit, then he won't be so keen to drop stuff down there, and when the 150s move through in about half an hour's time, Team Daiwa will be ready and waiting. I see you've gone back to the Daiwa rod actually for this job.
Certainly doesn't like to see the bottom of the boat, whatever it is.
No,
Because every time it comes to that level.
I've got a line just there, by the way, all right, just to restrict you even further. Which is clearly tanking off towards. Go away! We don't need you! We're all right. Yes. Hey, that was a bit bigger than I thought, Brian. Bloody hell. I wonder why he needed half a electricity pole to use as a gaff. Right. Gonna heave. This is where we go completely donk over. I'd rather not drop it. Can we do anything now?
Just you hold there.
Yeah.
Another tagged fish.
And another male.
Another male.
All right. I got the weight, just. I got the weight, and I got a rod. Hold it. I got a hook by my hand. Tap. Slide down.
Ideal.
Great, great, great.
Cheers, Liam.
Who needs a skipper? We'll manage. Right, I'll free the gaff. And then we sort out some of the spaghetti. Well, that's tired you out a little. That's what, 2 in quarter of an hour?
I'd say so.
You're going to give me a chance now. Sort my spaghetti out, and then
No
we'll just have to start again. Fish with the Scottish International Boat Manager, guaranteed to tangle absolutely all the lines.
I couldn't get the pieces.
No good. No good. We'll go back and try again. This is by Brian. What was it? 65.
65 pounds.
65 pound.
Immature male.
Well, I thought it was pretty childish the way it came up as well, actually. Yeah. Look at the sensitivity of the skin, though. All right. Back over.
Okay, back over.
Back over. What should we do? Put it straight in the dinghy.
What's the tag number?
Oh,
It's
on the other side. 01716.
1716.
Lyme Regis, it says on it. Yeah.
1716.
No. 01716.
What's the dinghy?
Dinghy's clear.
What's the tail of the dinghy?
Kind of sort of popping noise, yeah, as its tail hits a.
Way in below the boat. Well done.
We spent the next 6 hours talking anglers' garbage and moaning about the increasing wind, lumpy sea and fouling weather, despite a good meteorological report the day before. Not a single ratchet run. Then, at 6 o'clock in the evening, the sun minced through a hole in the cumulus and something drove off with my bait. I was into a skate.
My first chance at a giant Scottish skate off Oban in the sunset. I've been in play now for about 20 minutes and my arms are getting really tired, but I'm trying to be old butch and not bother with the harness. The fish feels a good weight. It's a deader weight than Conger. And as we talked earlier, we're making an initial effort to get the fish away from the bottom, but for different reasons. Ooh, and suddenly she's climbing. But when she wants to weigh, it's an extraordinary feeling. It's almost as if we can feel the fish playing with the tide, using the weight of the water, and it just goes, okay, I'll stick my arms out, you lift this billion tons of water as well if you want to catch me. Slow but possibly clever fish. Wind's picking up now and the tide, and the fish is on the surface. Lovely. Do they normally finish upside down like this?
They come on anyway.
Yeah.
See them put in tail first.
Right.
There's definitely on them. Fish must be around about 150, I would reckon.
Okay. Well, she's well tired. I'm done. I think it's time to call Ronnie. Ronnie! How do I lift this? Look at that gorgeous mouth. I think they're like smiling, even though they might not be too chuffed. What do you want me to do? Yeah. Isn't that a beauty? Absolutely magnificent. Thank you, Brian.
Well done.
All right. Do you lose many at the surface from getting overexcited with them or not?
No.
All right. Here we go. Line slack.
Yeah.
Do you want a hand here or?
We'll just slip the hook where she is. You don't want her in, do you?
No, let's have her in. I want to see my fish. Gotta see my fish. Do you want a hand? Oh, what a that! What a beaut! Absolute beaut. Is this one of your tags? Whose is this?
I've probably tagged in there, yep.
Absolutely marvellous. Wonderful. Look at that. A Scottish giant skate. Spanks the hell out of Plymouth, I have to say. She coming into spawning yet or not? Where are we at?
That was pregnant.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we must treat this fish with great care. She's very smooth on one side, or one way, and almost sharkish on the other. Wonderful eyes, no lids, sensitive eyes though. Beautiful. Is that hook coming out okay?
No.
Yeah? Drop the rod out the way. You got all the weight.
Oh, it's not heavy.
And I've got, yeah.
Even a pair of pliers. The scourge will lift it out.
Okay. A bit handicapped here. Stevie, my man, can you help us with the
Pliers
tools?
or a discorder.
I've got discard over here, but I need to try to hold this fish in here.
We're away.
Right, here
We're
I'll
away.
get it. I'll get it with this, no problem.
Absolutely gorgeous. Every fish tag and release. Right on, Ronnie?
Yep.
Everyone.
Let's the hook out.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Got the rod out of your way. Gives the hook. That'll do me at the end of the day. I thought I was going to miss my chance, actually. What a beauty. What an absolute beauty. We show it to the camera a bit before we slide her away. Look at the length of this. Come towards me. Don't let the weight go. I wonder if I can hold her. I'm going to watch the teeth, yeah?
I watch the mouth. Like,
Watch the mouth all together. Absolutely beautiful. These wings are enormously heavy. You see me all right in there? With Brian's arm in the way. Absolute beauty. Oh, don't let it go just yet. I'm getting my last cuddle. One Scottish giant skate. Let's send it home. I'm going to have a haddock for supper. You ready to go, boys?
Yep, we are.
1, 2, 3.
Right.
Push. Woo! Back flat. Go on. Yeah. Go down with her.
Starting to turn.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Scotland. Wonderful. Biggest fish I've ever caught in British waters. Really worth the trips up here. Took about 8 hours and worth every penny.
What a wonderful session of skate fishing. Much more pleasant than the winter months, but those larger specimens in the colder period are a rich reward for the weight-lifting angler. The waiting period can be long, and there isn't a lot of other fish mid-water to play with, but you can drop lighter rigs down to the bottom and fish for conger, tope and cod. The only difficulty can be that you risk tangling with your skate presentations, but it gives you something to do if you get bored. Ronnie is a great skipper. Easygoing, never phased, and a gut-feeling relationship with the skate. Raja clavata, you didn't really think it was huge as Lotus chippers, did you? Are unique at this size to this area of Scotland, and they are well worth the visit. I plan to return with the Orkney at some stage to try fishing for them from a small boat. Willie and Davy are addicted. I shall tie up with them and see what happens. But that's a story for another day. And now the conger and ling of Cornwall beckon, and it's time to leave these rich and lustrous isles and turn our attention to the southern waters. Thank you, Scotland.
These Daiwa tapered leaders, they're getting some size.